I just had a good laugh. I've just been listening to our state-controlled media, the British Bullshit Corporation, and they just had somebody on from Sputnik News, and the interviewer. Sputnik News, by the way, is a Russian news service, and she said it's state-controlled, but it's no more state-controlled than BBC. And she's asking him questions about Aleppo and that, and he had the good manners not to call the BBC a state-controlled broadcaster, which he's got better manners than I have. But it was hilarious because he was just pointing out the hypocrisy of Western media, and she was trying to say, oh, well, don't you think it's Russia's fault that all these civilians have been bombed in Aleppo and that? And he was saying, well, surely you've got to blame America and Britain as well then. And she's and then she was saying, well, what about, all the hospitals that have been bombed and that? And we know from real news broadcasters and independent correspondents like Vanessa Beeley that a lot of these hospital bombings they've either been faked, and it's provable fact. They've been using footage of hospitals that aren't even in Syria, and sticking it out as, today this Syrian hospital was bombed in such and such a place, and then independent correspondents have gone there and the place has either been empty for months, or it's just a warehouse and it's just been set up to make it look like it's just been blown up. I mean, everybody's seen that footage from Iraq the other day. The alleged car bomb that was was foiled by a security camera across the street. If you haven't seen it, get on YouTube. It might even be on a UK column and have a look. It's hilarious. Some guy pulls up to this car. I've seen the footage myself. This old wrecked car in the street, and he puts an explosive device in it, and the street's completely empty. The car blows up. And then all these people come running in from the left-hand side, and they all lay in the street and pretend to be injured like they've been blown up. It's bloody hilarious. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. She was saying, what about all these hospitals and that being bombed and all the rest of it? And he was saying, well, I didn't see anything in the Western media about the 2 Russian army medics that were treating children that was hit by CIA mercenaries last week, and he said, I didn't see any sympathy in the Western media for those guys. And she just said, oh, thank you very much, get off, and that was that. But that was a precision mortar strike. There was only 3 mortar shells, and they must have got their coordinates either from a drone or from spotters on the ground, because there's no way. It was such a tight grouping of mortar shells. There had to be a specific target. That just wasn't random shelling. So anyway, I just thought I'd make a short video on that because it was bloody hilarious. The media, and especially the BBC, because it is the biggest fake news site on the planet, have really been caught with their trousers down, and they're floundering because most people who think for themselves just don't believe what they hear on the BBC. Channel 4's reporting of Aleppo, and that's been absolutely disgusting. Their treatment of Syrian diplomats and that, and the way they've been talking to them, I wouldn't have even stayed on screen. It's absolutely rude, and it's just not It's not British to be rude. We've got good manners and that, and they should treat people with respect even if you don't like them. Because that's the British way, you know, that's a British trait. When you start talking to officials from another country because you've got a hidden agenda, start talking to them like they're a piece of shit on your shoe, there's something wrong, you know, and that should raise red flags with everybody because it's just not done. You know, you go and watch something like the UK column, and I would say they're more professional journalists than a lot of these people who work for Channel 4 and stuff, purely because as much as they don't like certain people or whatever, they always call them Mr. Such and Such or Mrs. Such and Such, and they never slag them off. They use a certain amount of irony and sarcasm, but they're never rude, and that's the way it should be. Anyway, that's me with a big smile on my face this morning. Alright, TTFN.